The views and opinions expressed are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect that of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
A pleasant good afternoon and welcome to the Commissioner's Corner. I am your host, Dr. Dion Wells Hedrington, and this podcast is sponsored by the Virgin Islands Department of Education. We are here every Tuesday at 5:30 on 93.1 FM and on Facebook and YouTube pages for VIDE and WTJX. This platform was designed to bring much of the information concerning the operations and the intricate details of the great work that we are doing at the Virgin Islands Department of Education with our community, because we are committed to transforming today's learners into tomorrow's leaders. And so I thank you for joining us every Tuesday and being diligent listeners as we provide you with the latest and the greatest things that are happening in the Virgin Islands Department of Education. This will be our final episode for this season. We will resume in July, and so stay tuned for more information as that time comes near. So with me today, not in the studio, but online, are both superintendents. We have with us Dr. Erisilda Utley Herman, St. Croix District Superintendent. Good afternoon, Dr. Herman.
Good afternoon, community.
Thank you for joining us. And also from St. Thomas, St. John District, Dr. Stefan Jurgen, Superintendent. Good afternoon, Dr. Jurgen.
Good afternoon, Commissioner, and the listening audience. Thank you for having me.
So thank you for joining us. I feel a little bit lonely here in the studio by myself, but I'm so happy to have both of you on the show today as we're getting ready to wrap up a school year. Can you believe it, that the school year is almost over? Superintendent Herman, how are you feeling that we've made it thus far? What are your thoughts?
I'm actually in awe. I feel like the school year just started, and watching the students get ready for graduation. I believe prom is this weekend, so I'm truly excited to see the great things and the culmination of the school year.
Well, you know, prom isn't something that y'all take very lightly in the St. Croix district, especially not to say anything different about St. Thomas, St. John, but I've seen some of the pictures and the things that parents are doing now when it comes to prom. So I know that our students are excited, and I just pray that this rain of blessings that we're receiving in St. Croix right now, that it dries up by Saturday. Which prom is on Saturday?
No, next week.
Next week. So we still have another week. So we take all the blessings this week so our systems can be full and so that we can be prepared for next weekend and the showdown. Dr. Jurgen, when is your prom?
I didn't hear, you're coming in a little faint. I can hear Utley Herman, but I can't hear you so well.
When is your prom? When is the proms in the St. Thomas,
St.
St. John district?
Week.
The following week.
What we have to do is alternate the days, because we used to, in the past, we've had prom on the same night, and that doesn't work because it does a lot to like the businesses. Like there's only so many limousines you can get. There are only so many dressmakers, so we have to really make sure that we alternate the week. So Ivana Udorican would go 1 week, and Sharamali High School would go the following week.
Awesome. So I'm looking forward to seeing the pictures because I really enjoy when our students are able to be on showcase, on display. And being a senior, we know how we felt when we were at that age. And so we celebrate the accomplishments of all of our seniors territory-wide. And I'm looking forward to all of the graduations and the promotional exercises coming up. So Superintendent Herman, what would you say is your greatest accomplishment thus far for the 23-24 school year?
I would have to go into just engaging the school leaders in the fact that was last year was a benchmark year, pushing forward in testing. This year we did our smarter balance test via paper pencil to accommodate our infrastructure, and it was a success. The feedback from the principals was that the students were actually engaged. They wrote more than they've ever seen them write before for the writing portions and the performance tasks. Schools were doing a great job. So I have to say, with everything that I accomplished this year, getting through our testing cycle has been the greatest feat that I'm happy for.
And you know, we've often received a lot of backlash from the community in regards to our test scores. And we recognize that our proficiency levels are not where they should be. And one of the things that we decided as a team was to use last year's data as our baseline data, because now we will be in face-to-face for 2 years, and we actually will be able to measure that growth. So while we did the paper pencil in St. Croix, and that takes a little bit longer for us to get the results, Dr. Jorgen, you did the online testing in the St. Thomas St. John district. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we wanted to really continue with the electronic testing because we know that, in subsequent years we've had issues. So we really tried this year to see if we could address the problem. And the students are a lot more familiar with the electronic test since they've been doing it for a couple of years now. I'm just so happy to report that the internet was not an issue this year, and we were able to get through our testing period successfully. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the results. Just looking at the results in comparison to last year, we do see some noticeable gains across the board, but I'm not just looking at it across the board. I'm also looking at it school by school and classroom by classroom. This year, we put some things in place that I think support our standardized results, and I'm looking forward to see, when it's all said and done, getting a chance to really dissect the data. But things are looking up, and I'm very pleased with that so far. Sometimes progress comes slow, but nevertheless, progress is being made.
And that's a key that we need to drive home with our audience today. That when we talk about growth in our students' proficiency levels, you're not going to see a jump from 10% to 50%. That is unrealistic. So in your eyes, Dr. Herman, what is a realistic growth gain that you have set for your district?
At the start of this school year, we actually had a Give Me 10 campaign. Give Me 10% increase in your student achievement scores, 10% increase in your attendance, a 10% decrease in your behavioral incidents. And so for me, I'm looking for that 10%. Really, honestly and truly, our students were growing. And once we put forth that instruction, our CNI team worked hard on a crunch time document identifying standards by grade level for exposure, not so much mastery. And so I'm looking realistically at 10% gains across the schools in St. Croix.
And Dr. Jorgen, what are you looking for in your gains in the St. Thomas St. John district?
But what we did this year is we focused on our school improvement planning process, and in that each school was able to make an assessment of where they are and then also really establish goals about where they wanted to go. And so one of the first things I'm going to check is to make sure you've established a goal, and now we need to see how you met it across the board. And I think that gives us some sense of direction as to what we're going to do next. And it's important to look at 1 year to the next. And if you see gains, try to understand why those gains exist. I'm also pleased with the fact that we are not just measuring proficiency, but we're also measuring growth. Mm-hmm. So we might have had some students, let's say in a lower level 1, but if those students were able to progress and end up at a higher, in level 1, then to me that speaks to the progress that's being made. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
And so one of the things that I would encourage to both of you as the superintendents of the respective districts is to make sure that we have conversations with our parents when those Smarter Balance assessment reports come out. because the interpretation of that data is so critical to their understanding of where their child is. You know, the goal is to have everyone proficient in their respective grades across the territory. Well, that will take time, but a parent looking at that assessment report should be able to see the growth that you are referencing. So I will encourage that, you know, schools set up times where maybe teachers, you know, everybody might do it differently, but there be an opportunity where reports are not just given to parents, but reports are explained to parents so that they know how to interpret the data that represents where their child may be at. So one of the things that we did as a team was conduct data chats. And this Smarter Balance data, which will represent the growth that we have accomplished in a year, also gives the schools some very important information. What can the schools use that data to do, Dr. Jurgen? What are you telling your principals when they're looking at their Smarter Balance assessment to use that data for?
I'm gonna jump in while Dr. Jurgen, because I think he's formulating his answer to what they're gonna use the data for, and for me, I just feel like the one thing that I can see that schools using the data for, Dr. Jurgen, you might agree, is teacher placement. One of the key things we look at is what are their strengths and what are the areas that we need to shift. We can also use the data to create innovative programs by schools for students, because innately every child doesn't need the same thing. Dr. Jurgen, what are you going to use your data for when it comes back? What can the schools use it for?
Thank you so much. No, it's not that I'm not responding, but I can only hear Zio loud and clear. So just be sure to restate it, and then I'll jump in after you, Zio. You
Oh,
know, the data has to be used to drive our instruction. And so when if our students take the interim assessment and they try to do that early, right? That gives
Mm-hmm.
us a sense of where they are. And so if we know that our students are having problems with a particular concept where the entire class just did not get it, then we know that we can go back to that area and spend some time. And we can also shore up that area in our intervention period. And so we use it to make decisions about instruction. And then we have our grade level or same subject area clusters. And when they get together in their PLCs, professional learning communities, those are things that they look at along with the pacing, because it might mean that you need to slow down in a particular area, go back, reteach, and do another assessment to allow students to give some more information that's rich in allowing us to make an assessment.
And I'm glad you both mentioned that, because one of the things that we've been driving since, you know, I've taken the seat, it started and we took the ball running, was making sure that we have a strategic plan. We have a way forward. Without a vision, we know the people perish. So we must know where it is that we intend to go. And part of what we've done is empowered our principals and building administrators to take the torch and lead the transformation that we want to see within their respective school. And this process is the school improvement planning process, which we began last year with our plans, and this year through some additional funding, we're able to bring in some consultants, the same consultants that did the leadership and management training with all of our senior cabinet, our directors, our state and district directors, as well as our school-based leaders. Now they're able to sit down with the assistance of the consultants and use all their data points to plan effectively to get that transformation in the learning curve that we want to see within our school. So I'm really excited because I am a proponent of school site-based management, school management. Every school does not look the same. One size fits all does not work. And so being able to really look holistically at our data and make informed decisions. So I'm truly excited about the direction in which the Department of Education is going, and the community can look forward to us being very transparent with where we are, because data doesn't lie, data speaks, and data will be shared. And this is also the year of accountability, where our schools will be rated as 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, up to 5 star based on different data points. One to include proficiency, another to include growth and attendance rates, graduation rates, etc. And so, Superintendent Herman, what is it that you would like to tell the community about your vision or your goals moving into the new school year?
So ideally, taking what we have this year, for the new school year, and everyone knows like I am data driven. So commissioner, once the data comes in, we're gonna delve in. But taking what we have and identifying what the gaps are and filling those gaps. We know historically in the St. Croix district, writing is one of our opportunities for growth. We've always scored very low in writing. And so working with our ELA coordinator around further integrating writing, having teachers of all content areas have students write to justify, write to explain, pushing forward in our mathematics, especially. Our students can solve problems every day, but multi-step and multi-function problems give us a little bit of issues. So what I'm looking forward to is rigor, not a lot of work, but deep work, deep thinking, in the classroom, and just shifting instruction for the upcoming school year so that we could continue to see the growth, because we have great educators in the St. Croix district. Dr. Jurgen, what are your thoughts?
We have some sharp educators in the St. Thomas St. John district also. For next year, I look forward to more of a focus in the areas of deficiency. I can tell you that we have issues sometimes with basic computation. If it's there are multiple steps, like our students, if you're talking about the FOIL method, which is first, outer, inner, last, a lot of it is remembering the steps and the sequences that they must use. As we get a little older, we realize that like with our 11th graders and our 10th graders, they struggle in the area of research, and sometimes synthesizing multiple sources, vetting sources, determining if sources are credible. Those are some areas in which we want to make sure our students are sharper. Um, and we realize that we start testing on the 3rd grade, but we need some strong support in the world of ELA, because writing has, as Abdi Herman mentioned, has traditionally been a challenge. And that's a challenge because um, a lot of our students struggle with the way they speak with using the vernacular, switching over to standard English, the code switching. All of those things play a major role. And we try to show them that there's different things that you would do based on the setting. If you're talking to your friends, that's a lot of different than if you're engaging in academic language in an institution, if you're conducting business. And so they need to know the difference between each so that they're versed in all.
Mention that because I had the opportunity of having both the district teacher of the years on our show last week. And in our conversation, we spoke about artificial intelligence and the fact that artificial intelligence is here. So, what do we do as a department to ensure that our students are using the artificial intelligence responsibly, meaning it's not supplanting but supplementing, and students being able to learn the basics first and then use the artificial intelligence? So, Superintendent Herman, what is your take on artificial intelligence and us establishing policies within the Department of Education that will embrace the artificial intelligence and help our students to use it more responsibly?
There's a term they have now called it, I think it's a generial, Gen X millennial kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually open to AI in the classroom, but it's not to replace the knowledge of students. And I think
Exactly.
that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that because they have it at their fingertips, we have to teach them how best to use it and not to replace their thought process, but to assist them. So after they've written their paper, probably using it to check grammar, um, making sure that if they have a thought process or they're creating something, they can kind of build out the outline. I think it's going to be a real game changer, especially in our special education, um, because for our students who we're always looking for accommodations for, AI can provide that as well. But for me, I'm very open to AI. I just want our students to know how to use it, which requires us training our teachers how to use it and how to
Correct.
teach our students to use it. It's just like the internet, teaching them how to be good digital citizens. So we have to do the same thing because it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. Dr. Jurgen, what's your thoughts about AI?
You know, Zia, I'm gonna Superintendent Herman, I'm gonna be completely honest in this one, and I really, really was not in favor of it. As a matter of fact, I told my deputies and the coordinators, stay away from AI. I don't want to see you all using it because I just come from a school where we had to think of the sentence, the paragraph, the essay, right?
Yep.
But since I've been introduced, and I'm looking at it from a completely different lens because, instead of looking at the way things harm, we have to look at how those same tools can be used to help. And, I have even been using it myself. And like I would write the whole letter and then I would put it in AI, and that gives me a natural proof, someone that can prove my stuff, and
Your
I
own
think
editor.
that's great. But we've got to make sure that our quality of instruction to our students is strong, so that they are sound enough to be comfortable in using it. Because one of the things you don't want to have happen, you don't want to just put things in AI and be removed of your voice. You want it to sound like you. You want it to be convicted that this is going to sound like me, like something that I support. You don't want to sound like a completely different person using a whole bunch of words that you don't even use, that you don't know how to use, and you don't know the meaning of. So education is still important to make you savvy in using AI effectively.
So I'm glad that Dr. Jurgen said that because the district teacher of the year for the St. Thomas St. John district, Miss Simeon, she spoke about utilizing artificial intelligence in her classroom. And originally, when she introduced it to her students, she asked them, at what point do you think that we should turn to artificial intelligence? And several of the students said at the beginning, and she said, no, it's your own personal editor. It's at the end. It's to make your paragraph flow. It's to make your outline flow, but you have to have your own thoughts and then incorporate the artificial intelligence. So parents and community, those are definitely more conversations that we are going to have as we move into the 24-25 school year, because like the superintendents indicated, artificial intelligence is here and it's not going anywhere. And so our focus moving forward is really on instruction. There's some upcoming changes within the Department of Education that we are all excited about. We are forming the school Bureau of Construction and Maintenance. I have a lot of bureaus in my mind. But this one will help us to take those school maintenance concerns off of our table so that we could get into the classrooms and really focus on instruction, because we know what we expect must be inspected. If we don't do that, then we cannot guarantee that our teachers, our paraprofessionals, and those who are in the trenches are doing what they're supposed to do, but having the support that they need in order to be effective. So, the show goes really, really fast. Superintendent Herman, what is one closing statement that you would like to leave with our community?
So definitely, community. One of the key things is Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up next week. it falls in line with Mother's Day. And so I truly want to extend an appreciation to the educators in the St. Croix district for their hard work and their commitment to our learners. I know that that hard work is going to shine through in our upcoming scores, and more so in just the shifts in behavior and the culture in the St. Croix district. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, community. Dr. Jurgen, what would you like to leave?
I would like to thank the St. Thomas St. John district, all of the employees for the hard work that they engaged in this year. This has not been an easy year. Last year was really a return to school, but this year we had to make a conscious decision that we are going to try to be better. And that comes with a lot of shifts. And so I realized that the district was rigorous in terms of just trying to figure out, where we are and where we want to be. I find that everyone, for the most part, is on board. But what I want our parents to do in this whole equation is to get some meaningful information from their child's teacher about what should be happening over the summer. We have many initiatives that take place during the summer, such as the Governor's Reading Challenge. I know that there's credit recovery, some summer school, some summer bridge programs. Take advantage of those programs because they're only going to strengthen your child's ability for the upcoming school year. Now that we are solid and this is our results from our testing, we're going to use that information to drive instruction next year and also support the programs that we have to include our interventions. So we're looking forward to another year. And we're also looking to recognizing all of the gains that we made in this year.
So thank you for that, Dr. Jurgen, and thank you to both the superintendents for being gracious guests on the Commissioner's Corner. Thank you to our listeners for being so diligent and always attentive and supporting the Department of Education. In our conversations, we've talked about the importance of having those partnerships with the community, having partnerships with our parents, giving the support that is needed to our schools, whether it be with resources or just human capital and support. And one of the things that we are committed to doing for the upcoming school year is doing just that, getting into our schools more, spending more time in the classroom, volunteering. Listen, we have so many options available to our community to be actively engaged with what we're doing at the Department of Education, and we welcome you. We welcome you to be part of the solution as we work to improve public education. I say it all the time. I am public school proud. I am public school proud. 100% public school advocate. And we're just looking for ways to improve the level of public education here in the territory. So we're making small gains, but we are committed to ensuring that we do make the gains that our children can benefit from. So catch us in July right here on Tuesdays at 5:30 on 93.1 FM and WTJX and VIDE Facebook and YouTube pages. We love you. Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect that of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.